Alright folks, so by the time this video is released, I am going to be 33 years old. I have a very serious warning for all of you guys because I know over 90% of the audience for this video are going to be men, especially young men. Remember this quote, every time you nut, you lose 1% motivation. Yes, you guys need to beat your meat less. To all of you guys out there who are, 18, 20, 22, yes, maybe you'll feel absolutely nothing right now, but at some point, the biological clock is going to catch up. So I did say in previous videos that, women have a biological clock and men have a financial clock. I don't think that's 100% true. Men have a biological clock as well. I mean, if you guys were to ask me, what is my biggest fear? Honestly, my biggest fear is not that, I will be completely 100% broke for the rest of my life. I think my biggest fear, I would say for the vast majority of men, is that, one day if you end up becoming the top 1%, if you do make a lot of money, if you're a millionaire, multi-millionaire, or even billionaire, but unfortunately, by the time you peak financially, you turn into Joe Biden. Now you're like this, look, I'm Joe Biden, man. Yeah, what happens then? You have all the success, you have all the money, you have all the wealth in the world, but your dick doesn't work anymore. You're shooting blanks. Imagine, Madison Beer is right in front of you. Imagine she being with you in the bedroom and she's 100% naked and she's rubbing lotion all over you. And she says that I want you to dominate me in the bedroom right now. But you're suffering from blue balls syndrome. You cannot get your Chinese egg roll up. I mean, that has got to be the worst pain imaginable. 100% serious. Remember this. Every time you nut, you lose 1% motivation. Now, I'm going to give you guys some examples. Wilt Chamberlain, right? So he's known for two numbers, 100 points in a game, which I mean, that's still questionable to this day. I mean, still to this day, there's absolute zero evidence Wilt actually scored 100 points in a game, and he claims to have slept with 20,000 women. I think that number is questionable as well, because if you do the math, even if he has a threesome every single day with no days off, it would take him over 27 years to actually sleep with 20,000 women. There's no way a guy can handle that amount of sex nonstop. But let's say, his number is an exaggeration. Maybe he slept with 3,000 women. I think that's more realistic. Why do you guys think someone like Wilt Chamberlain died so early? He passed away at the age of just 63. I'll give you guys another name. D-Rod. Yeah, D-Rod. How interesting. Dennis Rodman, right? Michael Jordan's teammate. He has claimed to have slept with over 2,000 women. I think, yeah, that's more realistic. That is actually possible over the course of his career. And he's also said that he has actually broken his penis 3 times. So I don't know how you can actually break your penis 3 times. I don't know what he means. Because I'm pretty sure you can only break it once. And after it's broken, and then it's beyond repair, right? So yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he means by that. Basically, you understand, this guy has had a lot of sex. But why do you think this guy, Dennis Rodman, sure, one of the greatest rebounders of all time, but he couldn't score a single point? What if he actually focused less on sex and actually focused on scoring? I mean, he could have been one of the greatest NBA players that's ever lived. Dennis Rodman and the broken penis aside. So think about a guy like Micah Richards. Is it Mika or Micah? I think it's Micah Richards. So yeah, this guy is a defender. He used to play for England, and he actually had the potential to be one of the best defenders of all time in soccer, or I guess in Europe they call it football. But this guy, right, despite having all the potential, completely fell off, and he retired at the age of 28. Some people say, oh, it's injuries. If you actually do a little bit of research, if you look into this guy's history, Micah Richards. So yeah, he has claimed one time he actually went to party in LA and he spent $150,000 in just one night. Geez, I wonder, what could he possibly be doing with 150 grand in one night in Los Angeles? Oh, I think there can only be 2 things. A bunch of hookers and cocaine. That's why his career fell off after the age of 28. Same thing happened to Neymar. Yeah, I understand that a lot of you guys might say it's because of injuries. That's not the number one reason. I know Neymar's still playing, but Neymar's 100% washed now. And the number one reason is because Neymar during his younger days, in his teenage years and throughout his 20s, he was partying around, sleeping with OnlyFans content creators, was having threesomes with strippers and prostitutes. Basically, his body count is probably over 2,000 as well. And this is what happens. After you turn 30, your body hits a brick wall. And I'll give you guys another great example, right? Lamine Yamal. He's barely 18 years old. Look at what Yamal is doing. You guys saw him on that boat in Ibiza, Spain, and he's partying with all of these thoughts, all of these 304s, all of these strippers, all of these prostitutes. He's smashing OnlyFans content creators every single day. I can guarantee you guys that Lamine Yamal, if he keeps this pace up, he's not going to have a long career. By the time that he's 25, his body is going to be cooked. Nobody can handle this. Remember Kyle Walker? So prime Kyle Walker, he probably has a similar speed and pace as Kylian Mbappe. He was one of the greatest right backs to ever play the game. And I believe he's heading for a divorce soon. I don't know if he's divorced yet. He's no longer a part of Man City. Kyle Walker's career has completely fell off. And I think the reason is pretty obvious. This is what happens when you go around sleeping with all of these hoes, all these strippers, all of these prostitutes nonstop. And Kyle Walker is 34 now, and his body has completely crashed. Let me share a very famous name in China to you guys. Most of you guys have probably never ever heard of this name. So it's a very important person. His name is 爱新觉罗乾隆. Yes, his name has 6 syllables. Once again, 爱新觉罗乾隆. If you're wondering why his name is so long, it's because this guy is not ethnically Han Chinese, he's ethnically Manchurian. And typically people of Manchurian descent have longer names versus ethnic Han Chinese people. This guy, he lived from September 25th of 1711 all the way until February 7th of 1799. He was alive for over 87 years. Now, for the medieval time period, this was almost unheard of. Even for someone who was a king or ruler or an emperor, how was he able to live so long, this guy? Something quite interesting. He ruled over Qing Dynasty China from 1735 to 1796. Total of 61 years. He's actually, the longest reigning monarch in history. Not just in China, in history. How was he able to stay in power for so long? Let's come back to this point. Why did so many kings, rulers, emperors, why did they all die so young? This, the imperial harem. Once again, it doesn't matter who you are. You can be Tiger Woods, you can be Michael Jordan, you can be LeBron James, you can be Superman. No amount of man on earth can handle this amount of sex. And of course, this includes masturbation as well. If you guys are constantly nutting 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, maybe between the ages of, let's say, 18 to 29, you can handle it. But at some point, all of that intensive labor, and one day your biologic reality is going to hit you like a massive, I'm talking about, the Great Wall of China coming crashing down right on your face. So this guy is very special, Emperor Qianlong. Instead of having a harem of thousands of women, like the vast majority of rulers throughout history, Qianlong, he only had 37 wives / consorts. Yeah, 37. Well, obviously for average Joe, having 37 wives. Well, it depends. Some people might think it's a nightmare. But I would say probably for most men out there, that must be like the 7th heaven. That must be a paradise. That must be a utopia on earth. So 37 for emperor, that's an extremely modest number. But even for Mr. Qianlong, he felt like that was actually too much. So at the age of 60, yes, he did not become an incel. He became a, what do you call it, vocel? I don't know if there's a word for it. He voluntarily gave up sex and he completely stopped beating his meat altogether, 100%. Because he realized that this is the reason why so many kings and emperors died so young. Because during his younger days, still, he had 37 wives and consorts to keep him busy. So he was nutting every single day, probably from the age of 16, let's say all the way until his 40s, before his body started to slow down. So this guy, he was coming, 2, 3, 4, 5 times every single night. And when he turned 60, he realized that there's no way his body can handle this anymore. And he has to take a step back, or he's probably going to die soon. Because he knew at that point his health was rapidly deteriorating. So for the next 27 years of his life. Remember, this guy lived until 1799, right? And yeah, he voluntarily gave up like beating his meat. He voluntarily gave up having sex with 37 other women. And he says that, you know what, I'm going to find my peace, I'm going to find my inner zen. And he lived all the way until 87, and he died of natural causes. And I'll give you guys a few other examples. Professional athletes who are much older, but they're still, on the top of their game. So LeBron James. LeBron James is 40 years old. I would say he's probably still the top 15 players in the NBA. Some of you guys might argue, the top 15, but I mean, you have to agree this guy's at least top 20 players in the NBA still. This guy's 40 years old. Lionel Messi, right? So obviously he doesn't play for Barcelona anymore, but still in the 2025 season, he's tied for the scoring leader in the MLS. And look at someone like Cristiano Ronaldo. So last season, he still led the Saudi League in goals with 24 goals at the age of 40. Sure, I agree. Ronaldo, he's semi-washed. He's nowhere near prime Ronaldo. But still, I mean, this guy's 40 years old, and he still led his nation of Portugal to the UEFA Nations League, and he scored a goal in the final against Spain. So why do you think these guys like LeBron James, like Messi, like Ronaldo, why do you guys think they can have this kind of longevity in professional sports where the vast majority of athletes, they only last anywhere between 3 to 5 years? So think about it, right? I mentioned these guys, Kyle Walker, Lamine Yamal, Neymar, Mika Richards, D-Rod, Wilt. But compared to these guys, LeBron James, Messi, Ronaldo, have you guys heard of any rumors about extramarital affairs? About Messi or LeBron James or Ronaldo? I'm not saying that these guys have never ever cheated on their wives or girlfriends. I mean, there is a possibility. But obviously, these guys, they're 100% focused on their games. They're not out there partying, having sex, and doing drugs like Micah Richards or D-Rod or Will Chamberlain or Lamine Yamal. I'm telling you guys, man, you guys can come back to this video, who knows, 10 years later. Once again, you won't feel it so much when you're young, but your body is going to change. Your biological clock is going to catch up to you. Especially after you're 35, you're 40, 45, 50, you're going to feel all of that. There's no way you can be out there smashing 2 women every single day for the rest of your life. I mean, I'm sure you guys have all heard of this figure, right? So 40 after 40. Yes, roughly 40% of men after turning 40 will suffer from erectile dysfunction. No, even if you're alpha, super rich, top 1% Chad, if you're out there just smashing every single day, nonstop, with no breaks in between, you will literally fuck yourself to the deathbed. That's what happened to all of those ancient kings and those rulers and then those conquerors that did not die on the battlefield. They all died because they had way too much sex and they were beating their meat too much and their body couldn't handle it. So if you guys want to ask me, what is the solution? What is the way forward? Well, I would say, let's say if you're a guy who's 30 years old, you're fairly short, you're balding, you're broke, you're ugly, you can't get a girlfriend, you can't find a partner, you cannot find your soulmate, you cannot find a wife, then it's probably time to start paying for sex, man. There's a reason why prostitution exists. There's a reason why those Asian lady massage parlors exist. There's a reason why strip clubs exist. It's because for the vast majority of men, finding a girlfriend is extremely difficult. Because if you guys keep on waiting and your body is going to go into a decline. Remember, 40 after 40, right? What if one day you cannot get it up anymore? What if one day you're suffering from blue balls or erectile dysfunction? What are you going to do then? So while you guys can still get it up, I would say, yeah, if you're one of those guys who's broke, who's ugly, who's short, you probably need to pay for sex. And also, to the guys who are lucky enough, right? You need a schedule, man. You cannot be doing it every single day nonstop. Once again, this includes masturbation. Right? So, if you're beating your meat 3, 4, 5 times every single day, watching videos of Riley Matthews or Lana Rhodes, I mean, that is going to be 100% detrimental to your health as well. So, if you're lucky enough to get a girl, you need to follow a schedule. So typically, a healthy relationship or marriage, you're looking at about 3 times a week. And you got to spread it out, man. You cannot be like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you go 3 rounds every single night. That's going to take a huge toll on you as well. You got to spread it out. I'm talking, try to do, Wednesday, Friday, then Sunday. And possibly, if you're in a really, really good mood, if you have lots of energy, if you're really happy, maybe you can stretch it to 4 days. So Sundays and Mondays, you can do back to back. You can have a double whammy. So you can do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. but doing it every single day is going to eventually kill you, man. I'm not saying that you'll be dead, but at some point you're going to get blue balls and you'll struggle to get your dick hard for the rest of your life. And for a man, that is probably the greatest pain imaginable. I mean, seriously, I want you guys to really think about this. Every time you nut, you lose 1% of your motivation. You wonder why men have low testosterone levels now. So every time you guys have all of these thoughts in your head, every time you think about watching videos of some sweet, innocent blondie getting drilled by a black guy with an 11-inch penis, every time those thoughts pop into your head, just go outside, man. Go to the gym, go for a run, go for a swim, go touch some grass, go drink some Kool-Aid. That is so much better for you versus beating your meat 3, 4, 5 times a day. Once again, you probably won't feel it when you're 18 or 22 or 24 or 26, but after you turn 30, you will feel your body slowing down. And if you guys keep on doing it, you will literally beat yourself to death. Your meat has a limit, and it cannot withstand constant beating 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day for the next 40 years. You gotta control yourself. You gotta have a schedule. Once again, I understand the struggle of young men. I understand it's very difficult for a lot of guys out there to get a girlfriend. But if you really cannot control your thoughts, you gotta have a schedule. I'm talking about do it Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Yeah, stop doing it 3 times a day, every single day. You will absolutely destroy your physical and mental health. And I'm 100% serious. Just think about this guy, Emperor Qianlong. He could have slept with thousands of women, but he chose to only sleep with 37. And at the age of 60, he completely gave up sex all on his own will. He's not incel. He's voluntarily celibate. And he gave up masturbation as well. And he lived until the age of 87. And that was over 200 years ago by modern standards. That's probably the equivalent of some guy living to 116 years old. Yeah, he had 0 sex and 0 masturbation for the last 27 years of his life. And to all the guys out there, right, if you actually can control your thoughts, if you can control your sexual urges, you'll realize something very important, especially if you're talking to these modern liberal white women. You'll realize that outside of sex, right, outside of your sexual urges, we're actually trying to discuss a serious topic with these modern liberal white women. You will realize that the vast majority of them, they're not interesting at all. I'm just telling you guys, it's much more interesting to actually talk to a group of young men. So that is going to be my most important message for this video, and I really hope you guys will take it to heart. Once again, I'm not telling you guys to completely stop. I understand it can be difficult for some men, but you have to learn to slow it down. So, have a schedule, maybe 3 times a week, right? 40 after 40. And I'll finish the video with this quote. Every time you nut, you lose 1% motivation.